So today marks the beginning of big tech earnings, and we had two come out today, which was Google and Tesla, and both showed an increase in AI spending, which should be actually very bullish for Oracle, as Oracle is focused on, database and AI infrastructure spend. So you can see here that shares of Google and Tesla dipped after companies reported massive spending increases in quarterly earnings report. And, this pretty much dispels the fear that, all these Mag 7 companies are shrinking CapEx as the year goes by. And this is not actually the case. They're actually increasing spending. And, you see here it says, much of the AI boom has been fueled by historic levels of infrastructure spend among a small crop of companies, namely Mag 7, including hefty investments into model developers OpenAI and Anthropic. And so, these companies are taking a hit, but, the story, the AI narrative is still strong. All these companies are continuing to increase their CapEx spend year after year, quarter after quarter. And so if we go back to look at Oracle, Oracle is pretty much the company I've been focused on. I think the setup is extremely good for a risk reward opportunity to the long side. And Oracle actually didn't move today. It was down about 1%, about $1.21, and it continues to be a laggard among these data center names. Now, I looked back at the levels at which we were at in 2025, and this was actually in April of 2025, where we had that massive tariff fear, the crash, the market crash, if you will. And you know from the moment we bottomed, made a new low here around 118. It took about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 days of consolidation before we finally, you know, exploded to the upside. And, this is the worst case scenario. I believe that, if Oracle were to truly break out from here, it'll take about 2 weeks, right? Before the stock really takes off. You can see here we got bullish divergences on the daily time frame. We got a higher low on the RSI, higher low on the MACD, unconfirming bullish divergences, and we are off to the races into the end of 2025. Now, if you look at when we actually got the MACD cross, which was the bullish cross, it was right around here, if you will, and this is where we are currently. We're getting the MACD cross, but I'm just not sure if we're going to pull back again. If the market were to truly pull back into, right now it's July 23rd, maybe, late July, early August, before we get that pop to the upside. And if that were the case, it'll take another maybe, 1, 2, 3, 4 days of consolidation before we truly get that pop. So that could possibly be, maybe into early next week or in the middle of next week before we get the pop on Oracle. And you can see that this level is very significant where we are at currently, because if you look at the daily time frame, this is the area where we popped off. And this is a very strong support level. We couldn't hold support here. We found support right over here back in 2025. And so I would imagine that we do get, some sort of upside move in Oracle in the very near future, right? Timing it is pretty much the hard part, but I think we're very, very close. We just got that cross in the MACD. Like I mentioned in the last video, the price is so compressed on Oracle, it's just only a matter of time before Oracle decides to pop to the upside. Now, like I mentioned earlier in the video, if it decides to take its sweet time, forming multiple bullish divergences, it could take another, 4 or 5 more days before Oracle really takes off. And so we're just getting the cross here, right? And we're struggling to break above the 9 exponential moving average, the 9 EMA, which is the yellow line here, ever since the sell-off from June of 2026, so 2 months ago. So we had 2 months of, downtrend. We're still struggling to break above the 9 EMA. If we do decide to mount above the 9 EMA, we could push into this, this 140 area, 146, 147 to 150, depending on how far it goes. On the weekly time frame, looks to me that the 200 is going to be a pretty significant area of interest if we do get that upside. So there you have it. I believe that it's only a matter of time for Oracle. Um, you know, like I said, the consolidation here took about 11 days in total, about 2 weeks. We're about, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days into this consolidation. So I would say that worst case scenario, it'll take another week of consolidation before we get that upside move. All these, earnings report from, you know, these big mega cap tech companies say that they're not slowing down AI spending at all. And, you know, that kind of ties into the theory that whatever fears these investors had about, chips pulling back and, hyperscalers pulling back AI spending is just not true. Just not true, as shown in these earnings reports. So, there's going to be a multitude of earnings coming out from Apple, Amazon, Microsoft. I believe we're going to see the same, continue to see the same narrative regarding CapEx spend from these hyperscalers, and it's going to benefit all these, data center names and the AI infrastructure build out. So, hope this helps you guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.